Welcome to the new episode of All the Jazz. I'm your host, Matjaž, and I have with me George B. Thomas. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, and welcome back. There's the thing in my, okay, bear with me, one button push. Good, now I can see you instead of that thing that showed up.
I know, it's annoying. I know exactly what you mean when it starts recording, there's a thing that pops up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know, Matt told me. Anyway.
Yeah, they should remove that because it's distracting me with my work. Anyway, or hobby, whatever it is. So, George B. Thomas, let's first discover the man so let's go into your childhood. What happened there? Did anything trigger?
When I first started out, I could barely walk. I didn't speak English, and fortunately my parents taught me both those things, and I'm doing much better. I'm an aged person. I didn't get into a serious study of the stuff that I do now for 6 decades. Unbeknownst to me, my mother was a student of Cryon. Oh, some people have heard of that. Okay. I had no idea. Now was introduced to the book by Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, in my teens. I was involved in a church there, and the Sunday school guy said, "Here, read this book," and it was interesting. Psycho-Cybernetics, I recommend that. I make a bunch of recommendations for anybody taking notes during the course of this activity. And then was a fan of Edgar Cayce. Read some of his books. Back again as a teenager, I became intrigued with the Worldwide Church of God, started listening to them, studying that information, got myself a strong concordance years later, and studied. In brief background, because I want to cut to the chase quickly, but I served as the spiritual leader, because they don't call them pastor or preacher or whatever, of the Unity Church of Christianity in Brazoria for a couple of years. I'm an ordained minister. I'm certified practitioner, matrix energetics, certified hypnotist. I do practice the laying on of hands as taught by Michael Stellitano, and focused mind healing as taught by Harold McCoy of the Ozark Research Institute. Now, Harold's passed, Michael's passed, but the ORI still exists in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So anybody can look up, Google Ozark Research Institute, and there's teaching stuff available, probably DVDs with Harold. I know there's a book. Michael, I think, had a book. I'm also a graduate student of Matrix Energetics, which was really a useful thing.
There's a lot of different techniques.
Well, it's all you're going to the same place. If people will study the current work of Joe Dispenza, currently he's out Becoming Supernatural, everything all ties together. Greg Braden, I got a bunch of teachers, but anyway, the point being, we're in a vibratory universe. If you want to think it of, there's love, there's apathy, there's a scale of, for Abraham Hicks fans, there's a scale of awarenesses or consciousness or emotions or whatever, from apathy to shame to grief to discontent.
Right. Similar to David Hawkins.
Hawkins, yes, Hawkins map of consciousness. Yes, anybody has Hawkins map of consciousness, that's a very useful tool. And I, on purpose, began maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, trying to figure out, well, how do I elevate myself? How do I get, I know it's not linear and I'm not better than anybody else, and Hawkins teaches the same thing, but the point being, I'd like to be up above 300. Well, I got there. I said, okay, I like to be up. Let's go to 500, because at 500, everything changes. So I made it past 500, kept on going.
Wait, how do you know? Wait, hold on. How do you know you were at past 500 at that point?
We tested it, muscle tested it. And I'm also friends with non-corporeals.
Who's that?
Yeah, that's somebody that doesn't have a body anymore.
Oh, I see.
Oh, we're going to go. What did it take? 3 minutes? I got off the chart.
Yeah, wait, you got there real fast. Hold on. Slow down, George. All right, let's go. Let's go. First things first. So the calibration first, because that's the last thing we talked about, but let's start there. So for me, I always thought, and I think this has been the recommendation of Doc, to not calibrate yourself, because you know what happened to me? My story was, this is back in the day, I was starting to calibrate myself, and every day I was a few points higher. Then And then after a week of this, or 10 days of this, I was like, man, they're doing some BS. I'm just fooling myself. You
Well,
know?
again, what Doc taught was the caveats, the rules surrounding the idea of doing a calibration is
Right.
you're not doing it to prove anything to anybody. You've got to use sources that don't care what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can't invest yourself with, oh, I'm going for this goal, and when I reach it, I'm somehow better. And you got to read a lot of Doc to get all this. And I'd say 4 or 5 of his books, and you have a pretty good understanding. But the point being, yeah, no, don't do that for yourself, because your ego's there. I mean, it may be subdued. You may have control, but it's there. Okay.
Right.
If you're still in a meat suit, there's some ego there. Okay. Hello. But no, I had help, and I'm not going to tell you how far I got or where I'm at this moment. Thank you. But I just got an answer, and it was pleasing. But for those who are interested, yes, it is a thing that is doable, because, and folks can read this in Doctor, probably in the first book. Anything, as soon as you get above 200, there is a pull toward the divine. Just like gravity is holding us on the ground, when one's consciousness elevates it to 201, everything there is a pull. Now, we don't have to accept it. We don't have to lean into it. We don't have to go for it. But there is a pull toward the divine. And so as we meditate, practice, learn, pray, study, be kind, do those physical things that help get our mind right as much as we can, and study and get better and better, then that pull helps us.
Would you say that most people are pulled, though? Because well, from my understanding of, from my experience with people, most of them, even if they're above 200, then they're, relatively integrous, as Doc would say, that have integrity, but still they're not, they may not be interested in spiritual work. They're kind of cynical about it. They're cynical about religion, especially here in Scotland. They're very cynical about religion, most people. So I don't know how to reconcile it. Maybe at some point divine is inviting them, but they're not taking the call. Is that it?
Here's my take on that kind of stuff. Religion, it's on our way to someplace. I was religious. I was raised in a religious denomination. I learned more, and I learned more, and I learned more, and I studied the Bible. But it didn't stop at the Bible, because in the Christian Bible, 2 Peter 3:18 says, but grow in grace and the knowledge of Jesus Christ. In other words, you're not to just get to a point and say, okay, I'm done, I'm cooked, I'm saved, on with life. No, grow, because we're growth-seeking beings. And again, just like a plant or grass or something will respond when you give it water and sunshine and nutrients, okay? The divine responds to praise. Grace exists. It's accessible to all of us, anytime, anywhere. Well, that's not been my experience. I understand. It's not been my experience to be a great brain surgeon. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
Okay. But then it's not what I'm interested in. Each of us is different. Each of us is unique. There's none of us that's better than the other one, but there is a pull or an option or an availability of grace and divinity and divine ideas, concepts, feelings, oxytocin for hormone for the brain. All those things are available for us, but we don't have to pick that. I work with people who have various and sundry problems, whether they're physical problems, mental problems, or whatever, in the work that I do. And in most cases, people are real responsive, because they're not coming to me if they're non-believers and skeptics. And again, you go back to Dr. Hawkins. He said, I don't have a whole lot of room for skeptics, because they're calibrating at 190. So it's like, okay, you could be a skeptic. Okay, have a nice trip. I'm not going to impose my will on you. They don't proselytize anybody. I say, I'm not going to try to convert anyone to my religion, because they don't have one. But the point being, mindsets, vibrational resonance, frequencies. Study the work of Abraham Hicks talks about that. Doc talks about that. It's a calibrated, it's a resonant, just like a radio. You got the old days, you had the FM radio, and I want to listen to 97.1. And if I'm 97, I'm not quite getting, I tune in just a little bit to the, okay, it's clear. Oh, there it is. And it's a fine tuning thing. And it takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. My magic wand is still in the shop. My crystal ball still hasn't arrived.
Right.
But the point of it is, as we make the efforts, we'll get all the help we need. The help's available 24/7.
So what's an easy way, or what's a simple way, let's say, to grow and be kind? That's the basics.
What Doc says, to everything, everywhere, every time, in every circumstance.
No exceptions.
No. And that's easier said than done. But that's they asked Doc, what's the easy way? Just be kind to everything, everywhere, every time.
I have found
about what if, I said everywhere, every time.
I found that when I went back to living with my where I grew up with my family, that for that period of time, like some things happened and it was extremely difficult for me to be kind. So to be completely honest, I was definitely not kind all the time. So then in spiritual work, these things come up where you have, I'm going to be kind, but here's an exception, here's an exception, here's an exception.
In my current, what I do, where people give me money other than the work, okay, I become frustrated with people. Humans, because bless their hearts, things are going to work out because everything always does. It always has. Well, what about bad stuff? Bad stuff works out too. Maybe you die, but you don't cease to exist. See, one of the big things for all of us is we don't understand as a society and as a cosmic consciousness or collective consciousness, we don't understand that just because your body dies doesn't mean you cease to exist. Well, all the religions have told us that forever, but we don't see that in our, we have got these 5 senses. We've got 13 senses, but the 5 that we're aware of is like, okay, so here's a magnifying glass, and if I let go of it, it's dropped because gravity is a law. There's also a law, okay, of magnetic attraction, that like attracts like. There's also a law that if we praise, those that we praise get better. If we criticize, we're going to find more things to be critical of. If we're grateful, Shazam, we'll just walking along being grateful, and suddenly something will come out of the blue, and wow, that's cool. I'm really grateful for that. I wasn't planning on being grateful for that, but I got myself into the vibrational resonance, the frequency of gratitude, which is similar to joy, appreciation. It's all there up at the top of the scale. Then like attracts like. So yeah, you're going to run into him. I have a session with people that feel a lot better. Said, okay, now there's still going to be drunks on the freeway. Okay. There's still going to be people who are impatient. There's still going to be people doing what you think is evil. Yeah. There's people being mean to other people, even as we speak now in 2022. Yes. Yes, they exist. Okay. I eschew them. I avoid them. I don't run across them very often because I do the work of keeping myself in appreciation and joy. Now, I don't claim to have it mastered. Okay. I'm not there 24/7. Okay?
So you have exceptions sometimes.
There's something shows up and it's like, you son of a, hey, it happens. You're still on the same planet with, again, students of Hawkins. So the overwhelming majority of folks, bless their hearts, they're not really conscious. They're not integrous, bless their hearts. I'm talking about people on the planet, not your neighbor.
Okay, right.
But people on the planet. Well, back in the 80s, and I haven't talked to Doc in a long time, but the point being, the overwhelming majority, okay, else the collective consciousness, we'd all be up there. If everybody was at 500 and above, we wouldn't have the problems we have. Simple. Now we're on our way. Everybody's getting better. Rising tide lifts all boats, which is why I encourage you and me and everybody else, do what you can and what I can for you individually to get your mind right, so to speak, to get yourself in the habit. You got to habituate. It's work. Habituate the idea that, yeah, I'm grateful for this. Well, I don't have a lot to be grateful for. Well, can you talk? Well, yeah, I can talk. No, everybody can talk. Do you have arms? Yeah, not everybody has arms. Can you walk? Yeah, but not everybody. Be grateful. You begin that mind, you change your mind. Okay. I got a YouTube channel and the video stuff, and people, I'm not the only one teaching this stuff. Sorry, I get carried away sometimes.
So you talked to Doc, you said you talked to Doc. So what does that mean? Like when he was alive, you used to talk or
communicate with him. Okay. I read his works, seen his videos, haven't communicated back and forth like we are now. Okay, I have not done that. I don't claim to have done that. Okay, but he didn't cease to exist. Okay, and the point of it is that there have been studies and people have shown anecdotally or other evidentiary stuff exists that telepathy does exist, and communication between people over distances exists. I've got a little article written by Meryl's David. Anyways, the article on my webpage that talks about remote healing, where she interviewed Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, molecular genealogist and so forth, talked about remote healing and how in the world is that possible? Well, it's frequently. Edgar Cayce taught us back last century that with God, time and space aren't the problems that we think that they are here. Okay. Like I say, I can work with somebody in the UK. We didn't have the technology 10 years ago for you to be in Scotland and me be in Texas and us to have this conversation. But we have it now. And like Arthur C. Clarke says, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And when we get that, and I work in consciousness technologies.
Right.
And the astronaut Pete Mitchell said, and this is some years ago, let's just extrapolate, say 40 years ago, people weren't really studying the mind that much. Okay. We were stuck in Newtonian physics, and Newtonian physics works as far as it works. And a few people were doing quantum physics, people, Max Planck and Albert Einstein, these guys and so forth. But it wasn't as available to folks as it is today. And today, to quote another one of my teachers, I appreciate your being patient with me, Joe Dispenza, in the information age, ignorance is a choice.
Right. Oh man, this reminds me. I talked to this lady. This is very funny because like she is a business person, and this talks about what you talked about, just because she was just there for 2 days and she saw some people that went a course, and she was like, you know what, I realize that most people here, they will not succeed in business. Because why? Because if they wanted the information, a lot of information is already available. So if they're just looking to be spoon-fed in one class about everything they need, business is not for you, because you have to go out there and find stuff, and it's freely available, but maybe they don't have the willingness, perhaps, or the willingness to act, and the act. It's not just the level of willingness, because Bruce Lee had a great quote that it's not enough to be willing to act. It's the action. It's not enough to be willing. It's to actually do it. That's the thing as well.
You'll excuse another quote from James Ray. If you just sit on your hands, they'll come take your furniture. I'll be right back. I promise. But I got something that some people haven't seen. And this is available to folks online. I got a little video about it on my YouTube channel.
VeritasPublishing.com.
Veritas Publishing, there you go. And you could at least a while back, and I did, buy a laminated one of those for like, I don't know, $1 or $2. So, but just the awareness that it exists is a step up in consciousness.
Yeah.
And then studying that, like you said, willingness, which is like 350 or something, willingness. 310. There you go. So this stuff. All right. But anyway, the point being, if one is at 310, things don't look the same as they did for somebody it's 190. Okay. It's like we're different perspectives. It's like, okay, all right. Oh, things are a little bit different now. There's just not that they're better, but okay, here's my analogy. And it's why I encourage everybody to keep doing what you're doing, Matt, and to study this stuff. If you got seats on the 50-yard line, I'm talking football, that's America, I'm in Texas. Great seats on the 50-yard line, right at ground level. These are great seats. We see the action close up. It's great. Except that when the move's down toward the end zone, we don't have as great a view. They're still great seats, don't get me wrong. But the guys up in the press box see the whole field. Plus they got closed circuit monitors, so they have a broader experience and they can have access to more information at the same time. Are those better seats? Well, one way of looking, they're better, but those 50 yards, I mean, I'm right there. You know, the players are 10 yards away. That's a great seat. But the guys up in the press, it's a different perspective. And once we can understand that different, again, we think linearly because we live on 4D Earth. This is 4D, by the way. So was it 3D? No, it's 4D, folks. There's time. So anyway, but with the elevation, things look different. And with a broader perspective, you see more clearly and things get better. And I'm just very grateful to Hawkins, yourself, the room full of teachers and stuff like that, because it's available. The phrase God is love is not just a fairy story. Now you have to understand what those words mean. There's a definition of God, there's a definition of love, and so forth and so on, but it's available, like you said.
Right. So it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of because some people are really full of fear and trauma. What happened to them in the past. Like I know for myself, I've seen some things that probably shouldn't when I was really young, you know, some kind of violence and all that. So, but you have to understand, people have even worse experiences than that. They've seen things that you know, you shouldn't see as a kid. So it seems like there's a kind of almost like a miracle that some people need, especially from those lower levels, because they're born with them. So maybe there's a kind of grace that has to touch them, because they ordinarily wouldn't be interested in this kind of work, right?
One has to have an interest. And if you're not interested, you're not interested, unless you stumble upon something miraculous or something. A lot of people don't know it's possible.
Yeah.
Okay. If you study Doc's work, you know, he was in the lower depths of hell, and he says, you know, you see that Dante's Inferno stuff, that's kindergarten. This was real hell. And he was saved by a passing thought of an archangel, just something else. Well, what if, boom. And so and the thing of it is, I'm so grateful. Those things are more and more extant in our universe now than they were 10, 20 years ago, because there are people, some hustling, some trying to monetize, some just putting stuff out there. There's all sorts of, and it's becoming more. Gaia TV didn't exist a while back, but now Joe Dispenza has a series on Gaia. Greg Braden has a series on Gaia. Like I say, I've got a YouTube channel. Abraham Hicks has about a gazillion, YouTube videos that are available to anybody for free. And yeah, the stuff is kind of woo-woo and it's out there, and it's not what we were taught as little kids. But seriously, if you're an adult, you probably no longer believe in a white-haired, white-bearded guy that sits up in a cloud holding a lightning bolt ready to zap you if you screw up.
Right.
You probably really don't believe in that anymore, because it's an idea, but there's more to the universe.
Right. However, there's also, I think Doc said, I don't know how the situation is now, but when he was alive, that about half of the stuff that you see in the New Age library is caliber, it's actually below. So it's I think people have to use some kind of discernment as well. And maybe, well, for me, it's like a lot of he calibrated a lot of teachers, like Dr. Hawkins in his work. So I usually stick to that, but I think, you know, one has to use, you know, Jesus said, by their fruits you shall know them, kind of. So you see how, you know, if they're producing good disciples, or they're producing disciples that are robbing stores, you know, and you know, trying to influence an election because they want power. I don't know, you know.
Well, it's exactly right. Because before you start, I said, by their fruits you'll know them. And you don't necessarily, the first fruits that show up, this is, because, you know, you go to Vegas and it's all sparkly. Look, it's all sparkly lights and stuff. Wow, this is cool. Well, and you know, I've had a number of clients, hundreds. But anyway, the point being, I had one client who said, yeah, I went to this guru and they told me to do thus and such, and it didn't feel right, but they were the experts, so I did it, and it didn't work out, and these other bad things happened. I said, yeah, just because someone claims something doesn't make it so.
Right.
Okay.
What did they ask them to do? Something weird?
Something that didn't work. I don't remember the specifics, but this person had an attachment, which is a whole different story, and off into the woo-woo stuff again. But the point being, they had, well, you go play in the mud, you're going to get dirty.
Yeah.
Okay. You go hanging around drunks, you probably drink more than is healthy for you, and drugs and so forth and so on. Not that those things are bad or evil, because it's a continuum, like Doc taught. But the point of it is, by their fruits you'll know them. Check stuff out. See what I've got on my website. I've got a page full of testimonials. Okay. I've got a video of me doing my work with a client in Colombia and the reactions in real time about some of the stuff that happened. I don't give away all details. Everything's absolutely confidential with I work with any kind of client, but she said, sure, yeah, you could do that because it helped her. And we have to be willing to receive, because yes, the help's there. Yes, grace is there. Yes, healing is there. Forgiveness, love, all that stuff is available. And if we don't believe we're worthy, and that's something else, tell yourself, look in the mirror and say, I am worthy. I, George, am worthy to have all good things. He, George, is worthy to have all the good stuff happen for him. We have to change our mind. One of my teachers, Brian Tracy, said, tell yourself, I like myself. Well, if I'm kind of a jerk and I'm kind of been a jerk and nobody likes me and so forth, it's kind of a stretch for me to say I like myself. Good. Do it over and over about a gazillion times. You will change your mind, and then your behavior will reflect this new idea, and you will behave as someone who's likable. Really? Yeah, really. Not overnight. It's called the work. Okay. It's not called the work for nothing. Like you said, it doesn't happen overnight, but dedication, devotion.
That's it. The more work you do, isn't it the more spiritual work you do, that the farther along you go? Because even though I know this stuff, sometimes I find myself coasting, and then I'm like, man, I didn't even much. Maybe I prayed a little bit, maybe I did a little bit letting go, but I didn't do much work today. You know what I mean?
Don't feel lonesome. And the thing of it is, it's like, again, it's go back to Doc's analogies. It's like a rocket ship taking off. When it first took off, they 3, 2, 1 ignition. What happens? Not a whole lot, but there's all this fire down here, but it ain't going. Okay, it's moving a little bit. It's pouring out energy. Oh, the gazillion, and it clears the gantry, and then it gets past Earth's gravitational pull, and there off it goes. So the first, it's hardest at first, absolutely, and it doesn't get easy unless you believe it will, and then you let it.
Right.
But see, also there's other things that you can implement, like EFT, emotional freedom technique, or fast EFT, emotionally focused transformation. I think Robert now calls it eutaptics, but the idea that you use the body's energy meridians and tap along them, and then bring these affirmations into your unconscious or your subconscious, your body. Dispenza talks about getting the brain and the heart in coherence. Once you get that going on, there's a lot we can do. And
what's the first thing, George, that you were you like, obviously you brought up religious, so was that were you really sincere in it, or you didn't like it, and did you kind of reject it and then later find spiritual work of spiritual by the teachers?
One of the great things I credit Wayne Dyer with is helping people understand holding two seemingly maybe not agreeing thoughts at the same time. Paradox. You think of paradox. And what I believe that I've learned, and what's worked for me, and it worked for everybody else, is integrating a new thing with a new thing with a new thing. For example, I'll have a Zoom session with a client this evening. We'll probably do some faster EFT. We'll probably do matrix energetics. Whether we'll do focused mind healing or not, I don't know, because there's one size doesn't fit all. I don't hypnotize people over the phone. Okay. I don't do QHHT remotely. There's different things that are appropriate for different folks. But what I've found is, the Bible, there's stuff in the Bible that's true, accurate, actionable. There's stuff in there that's, and again, students of Hawkins will go, the Revelation to St. John. Oh, that's like a bunch of astral stuff. That's not like, real life stuff. There's principles that we can extrapolate and utilize.
And this,
but it's not
positive interpretation as well. You could interpret it in a positive way, like they do, like the Jewish with their scriptures. They do a lot of, even though the Old Testament calibrates where it does, but the Mishnah and all that calibrates really high, because they glean the wisdom out of it, I guess.
Well, again, back to Hawkins' teachings, okay? You look at evolution and creation, different words for the same thing. The Old Testament God in Old Testament times, oh, he was vindictive and said, murder all these people and all this kind of stuff. And Jesus, hey, back then, that's the thing that worked. Because once you own, and I mean, you know the truth, which is you don't cease to exist. Okay, that if a body is killed, then maybe it reincarnates, maybe it goes into who. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I can tell you, you don't cease to exist. So maybe the Amalekites and all those guys, if we kill all them, then they'll go into the place between lives or whatever. This is all, I'm not saying this is true necessarily. They go up into space, they look around, they get evaluated, they graduate, they get taught, they go have different experiences, say, okay, let's come do life again and get born as a baby and go through experience and not have the same experiences they did before and learn from that, because we're growth-seeking beings. This, which I guarantee, I believe, we are growth-seeking beings, and we can learn, we can adapt, we can change, we can grow. Hence, look at us. Look at us seriously right now. We're having this conversation. You're in Glasgow?
Yep.
I'm in Galveston. Okay. A miracle. No, it's technology. Okay. It's technology. And the thing of it is, and I don't know how, I'm sure appreciate this opportunity, how much time we have, but you talked a little bit about wanting to help your listeners or viewers or whatever experience some of the stuff that we do.
Oh yeah, for sure. That we're gonna do that as well. Yes. I just wanted to ask about Cryon first, because Cryon is I think it's been mentioned on my podcast once before, but a lot of people don't know what it is.
Oh, Cryon?
Cryon, yeah, sorry, yeah,
okay.
Cryon.
I'll just say that in my experience, it's a channeled energy or entity. I am Cryon of magnetic service, whatever. Anyway, that this guy, this human, okay, has connected with and communicates with a non-corporeal energy. Well, I don't believe in that. You don't have to believe it. No one's, I'm not saying you got to believe anything. Okay. But the point of it is, information comes through this person and they say, okay, here's these ideas. And I say, and anytime we can expose ourselves to an idea that's a little past what we're used to thinking, and we think that, you know what, that all things are possible with God's stuff, maybe that's true. Because I never tell everybody that all things are likely or that all things are probable, but they are possible. And it's possible that there's an entity or an energy or a consciousness that's of magnetic service, whatever that means, that is sharing their information with those who are ready and willing and able to hear. Not for everybody, okay? But like I said, my mom, I'm going through moving her stuff. This is some years ago. I said, we got these books from Cryon. Who's Cryon? So I just read the book. Oh, this is interesting. But it's like Esther and Jerry Hicks, Abraham Hicks. They're supposedly or reportedly, okay, sharing information from a non-physical source. Well, golly gee willikins, we got the Bible, we got this 10 Commandments stuff that was supposedly from a non-physical source. Okay.
Well,
there's just one God. Well, yeah, okay. And we're all one. Oh yeah. Like the guy says the Buddhist guy says, for your hot dogs, what kind of hot dogs? Make me one with everything.
Right. That's a joke I've heard. That's I heard that somebody say tell that joke to Dalai Lama, and Dalai Lama, because his English is not that great, he didn't get it quite, but it was funny. It was on Australian TV, I think. Anyway, so yes, we can do. I'm open to anything, whatever you feel like would be most appropriate. I like the energetic stuff, and something maybe, or you can do on me, or you can do in general on the audience as well.
Okay, well, let's take a few minutes and just do what I'm led to do for the folks that will see this in the future, whenever the future is. Because the thing about this existence is everything's now. In other words, next Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. precisely, it will be now. But now that was then when I was talking then, that's then and now. And it's a new now. Well, how about now? Yeah, now. So it's energy, it's vibration, and so forth. And what I wanted to do, because I had this idea, and thank you for asking, is I wrote some, I'm going to come up with there's a bunch of free stuff on my YouTube channel. I'll plug it. George B. Thomas Jr. on YouTube, George B. Thomas Jr. And there's some silly stuff and there's some fun stuff and there's, pardon me, a number of things with using fast EFT for physical ailments like headache and gastrointestinal problems, things like that. But I would like for everyone doing this now to join me with this and just think these thoughts and allow yourself a nice big breath. That's what I do. Understand that you haven't missed out on anything, that what's meant for you is for you. And we're going to move into a vibrational frequency of gratitude because we all have much to appreciate. We're not going to focus on the problems. We're not going to focus on, oh, there's plenty of those. And if we want to focus on them, we can. But we can just right now think, I'm glad that I can breathe. Go ahead and take a breath. Yeah. The love you seek is also seeking you. And just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. I am so grateful for the love that has come into my life. If my perfect match is not here with me this red hot minute, I can still appreciate the time they were or the time that they will be. I'm grateful for them. God bless them. Maybe I don't even know them yet, and that's okay. But I can breathe. And I'm so grateful for that. It's just a little thing. But when we focus on what we're grateful for, even if it's being able to sit up, not everybody can sit up. If we can hear this voice, not everybody can. Thank you. Who are you thanking? Your higher self, your spirit guides, God? That's just less important than the vibrational resonance of being grateful. I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Now allow yourself a breath. All right, right now, we're in a pretty sacred space. And whether you feel this or not, you can allow love, healing, and forgiveness to flow into you. You can breathe in love, healing, and forgiveness. And you can breathe out lack and limitation. And you can breathe in love, healing, and forgiveness, joy, happiness, grace, and just breathe out lack and limitation and problems and stuff that no longer serves you. And we're done. Cool action. That didn't take long. Thanks.
That was pretty quick. Yeah.
But you probably noticed something different in your mental state, okay? And folks who will tune in and do that will. And it's available. Now, I don't meditate every day. Really, George? You think it's important? Yeah, I do. But I don't spend time every day because I get busy and so forth and so on. But I believe that I have habituated a way of being where I've done enough practice where my set point, I'd hold up a book from Marcy Shimoff. It's called Happy for No Reason. In it, she talks about that there are people that are happier than everybody has a happiness set point. Wherever we're at a certain point and we're happy. Then sometimes, like you say, drunks on the freeway or whatever else and stuff gets in our way. Okay. But if we practice it, watch funny movies, do comedy, et cetera, get yourself happier and rest them and do those things that it's becoming, again, more and more mainstream. You watch the news, you watch Good Morning America, some of these TV shows, and they'll have experts come on telling you de-stress, meditate, go for a walk, breathe deeper, eat less junk. It's, our current, and I'm not going to spend much time on this, but our current philosophical political battle right now is between the powers that be and those in charge of healthcare and so forth, and those that go, hey, I know something about my own immune system, and the body's designed to heal itself, and they're telling us conflicting stories. That yes, you should do this, and by the way, and I heard it was on the news this morning. This is the 12th of January, 2022. On the news, whatever authority figure says, well, most people are going to get COVID. After you just told us, come on. And it's not going to kill you. Well, gosh, you mean we don't have to live in fear? No, you don't have to live in fear.
Right.
And it all boils down, and I promise I'll stop preaching in just a second. It all boils down to that primal fear. We're afraid we're going to cease to exist. We're afraid that we're going to die. We're going to cease to exist. And we don't want to, because we've seen dead people. We've been to funerals, and they're just not animated. They're not doing anything. I don't want to be like that. And I don't know what's next. I don't claim to know what's next, other than to tell you, I guarantee you that you don't cease to exist. Neville Goddard, study some Neville Goddard. There's free information there. Free. His lectures are free. His books cost money, but anyway. Thank you.
It's some people will not know that until, like, is they're radical skeptics, and they will not know that until they die, and then they will be in for a big surprise, I think. But that's my hypothesis. I don't claim to know anything as well. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, but I think there is a heaven and hell. I think there's a purgatory. I think Dante's thing was right. There's many levels. I think that's my working hypothesis. And as far as the division, yes, it used to be every 4 years in U.S. you have the Democrat, Republican, and red hot thing, and now it's like all the time. There's the unvaxxed versus the vaxxed, and so maybe this is for design, that something is changing in the worldwide thing, and
we're in a state of flux, and we're in a state of change. And if you don't see that, you take the blinders off. But like they said, and like Abraham Hicks tells you, most people won't consider this woo-woo stuff and changing the way they think until they're about to croak. And if they're diagnosed with a terminal illness, maybe they're ready to try something else, because medical science says we can't do anything else for you. Well, maybe I'll try something else. And those that do go, well, Shazam, why didn't I know this before? Because you weren't ready to receive it yet. And you weren't wrong. You just weren't ready.
Yeah. Some people will not consider anything outside their worldview until, like, the push comes to shove, and they're like on the deathbed or whatever, and they're like, is there something else? Like this, there must be something more than this. And I love Western medicine, but I think it's limited in some way. So I think in the future, this will Western, Eastern, and alternative stuff, the kind of stuff you do and other stuff will kind of merge together. It'd be so nice if a doctor would be like, you need to go to a EFT guy, you need to go to a body talk practitioner or something like that.
If I break my arm, I'm going to go see a doctor and go see either an orthopedic surgeon. All right, because I've broken a bone before, and I have never said anything against allopathic medicine. I'm not against it. Okay. The thing of it is, it's what we have. They call it modern medicine, but it's only been around for under a couple of hundred years. Okay. People were doing, other kinds of healing for, a gazillion years before that, or at least a couple thousand. Anyway, the point being, we different strokes for different folks. And by revising our belief system, by allowing ourselves to think, maybe that stuff in the Bible is true. Maybe it's true. Maybe all things are possible with God. Maybe John 14:12 is accurate. What's that? Jesus was leaving, says, guys, I'm bugging out. I'm going to the Father. Okay. But you see me heal all these people and so forth. And you guys can do what I do. Anybody believes in me can do what I do. Really? Yeah, really. I've seen, okay. And I have friends, stage 4 cancer, and not anymore. Really? Yeah, really. But George, didn't your wife die of cancer? Yeah, she did. And different strokes for different folks. We're all on our individual path, and yours isn't wrong, and mine isn't better than yours, but we're all on our way. You're all on the way to the same place? No. Like Matt was just saying, okay, what's this purgatory thing? Maybe there's different states of heaven and hell and so on. So there are those who posit that when you pass, you're going to go to a familiar area that's going to fit in with what you're expecting. What do we expect? Do we expect to get up there and pluck on a harp, ring, playing a harp all day on a cloud? Boring. Okay. I'm not going to go play on a harp on a cloud all day. Sorry. All right.
Well, yeah, but maybe there's some interesting games that some levels they play that we don't even know about. So maybe it's probably not boring. It's probably some exciting things to do. Maybe you can take some classes and some there must be, if God all knowing has created this universe where you have university, maybe there's even better ones up there. It's just that we don't have the body, so we don't have the the struggle and the pleasure and the struggle that comes along with having a body. Have to wake up in the morning. I didn't sleep enough, a coffee, this and that, energy drinks, you're sore, you're this, all that and more. um let's talk about the because you're doing a lot of different things. What about let's talk about matrix energetics a little bit.
Okay,
So
matrix energetics is brought to us by Dr. Richard Bartlett.
mhm.
He and Melissa Joy used to teach it. Reggie used to teach it back 10 years ago. There we are. In 2009, I think I completed courses level 1 and 2. Anyway, and I got certified in 2001 or something. Anyway, the point being is using different modalities to impact the physical stuff in a non-physical way. An analog clock versus a digital clock. If I've got an analog clock over there that says it's about 4:17 or 18 Central Standard Time in Galveston, okay? Now, if I have a digital clock, it'll say 4:17, and then it'll say 4:18. It'll just instantly change. So if you could think of the idea of healing, we think, okay, I got a cut on my hand. I'll put some ointment on it, put a Band-Aid on it, and then maybe a week or two, it's all better. But we could also go time travel, boom, and it's all better. Really? Not necessarily. But matrix energetics allows us to do things like two-pointing, like using archetypes, healing frequencies, some of the different things that are taught in there. Don't try this at home without formal training. But the point being, we can utilize things because there's 4 powerful things in our universe that work: love, intent, emotion, and imagination. You can go where you are, give them enough money, and fly all the way and meet me at Hobby Airport here. In what, a month? No. A week? No. Seriously. Because the Wright brothers imagined that they could figure out a way to get man off the earth in something besides a helium or hydrogen balloon. And we've developed it since. The table didn't start out as a table, it started out as an idea. So imagination. Emotion is what fuels. Emotion is our fuel. Powerful stuff. Intent. What do we intend? What do we want? Everybody wants what they think is right for them and best for them at the moment. Father, forgive them. Why? Because they know not what they do. That's what we all think we're doing, what's right for us. But love, more powerful than anything. Does it mean that if there's enough love, all our problems will be over? Yes, but there's not enough love for that. Well, sure there is. We're not tuned to it. Not everybody believes in it. Everybody's heard love conquers all. Everybody's heard all we need is love. Yeah, right. But we also have to have money to pay rent. How do you get the money to pay rent? You trade some of your love or some of your service or some of your effort for some money, and then you pay the rent guy, whatever it is. But the point of it is love, intent, emotion, and imagination. So with matrix energetics, we use that frequency, or moving the mind into gamma for those students of brain, beta, normal conversation, alpha, delta, theta. Again, Joe Dispenza have written extensively on that. And then gamma. And what Dr. Bartlett was tested many years ago says, okay, do your matrix energetics things. We'll put these electroencephalographs and say, where is your mind? He goes into gamma. So when I have a matrix interjection with somebody, I go into gamma, get the client into gamma. Another way of saying is that I get me out of the way, help the client get out of their way, and then let divinity have its way with us.
Wait, so you're saying the normal state is alpha and beta?
What?
The normal state of talking is alpha and beta?
Beta.
Oh, beta. But I don't want to be beta. No, yeah. I'm just, that's a bad joke.
Anyway, this is a test. Anyway, but yeah, Silva mind control, Silva method. Jose Silva back in the 50s, last century, talked about getting to, they call it getting that level, getting the mind into alpha. On my YouTube channel, I've got a guided meditation, one in English, one in Spanish, that has an underlying sound that helps the mind entrain at this alpha level, which is like 8 to 12 cycles per second. So we have that going on, help the mind relax, get all this surface flutter. Just like on the surface of the ocean, there's all these waves and the winds, all this stuff going. You go down 10 feet, it's not, you go down 20 feet, 30 feet, it's like, oh, it's all calm down here. Yeah. Okay. So out of beta, we go down to alpha. We can access the subconscious mind, which is pretty cool. And then you go delta and theta, but gamma is like there's high beta. And again, I refer to Greg Braden's teaching and his series on Gaia called Missing Links. Gaia, which is just really, really fast. And you're just hyper aware of everything at once. And your focus isn't directed on just one thing. You're open. And you allow, because in that state of infinite possibilities, like we study from quantum physics, if we have all potential, if God is love, which I can promise that God is love, what those words, you got to further define those words. I understand that, but love exists. And then the improved state can manifest, can show up. So bing, pop. Quick story about one of my teachers, Houston Vitter, had a client who broke his ankle and he just begun studying matrix energetics. And he says, okay, I'm supposed to just go ahead and act confident, like I believe this stuff's going to work, right? so he does the 2-point. So he touches the guy's ankle, another part of his foot. Both he and the client hear this pop. And he goes, okay, all right, so go get it x-rayed. If it's still a problem, I'll pay you for the x-ray. Just let me know what happened. The guy goes, gets the x-ray, come back, says, what happened? The doctor said, it's not the same foot. There's no break.
It's not the same foot. What?
Okay. So, and like I said, I've had people with this problem and that problem, the other problem, and it's just not a problem anymore. Dr. Bartlett tells a story. He was working with a client. He's a chiropractor. It was his first doctorate. And this guy comes in with a frozen shoulder and he's working and working and working and working and working and working. And it's just not working. And he perceives his spirit guides. You don't have to believe this. Okay. Kind of chuckling at him, and he's getting frustrated because nothing he's doing is working. And they go, why doesn't he just go where it's not? And so why don't he just go where it's not? Or it's not a frozen shoulder. It's not a problem. Just go where it's not. So he went where it's not, and it's like, oh, now how exactly does he do that? Well, I recommend the books, Matrix Energetic. He's got one called The Physics of Miracles. Okay. But all things really are possible. And once you start experiencing this stuff, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
So is this mostly for physical ailments and stuff like that?
I tell people the only thing I work on, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological, relational. I don't do plumbing or carpentry. So anything.
I had a feeling you're gonna go that direction. All right. So is it possible to do this, or this is only something you do in person?
I do Zoom session. Again, I refer people to that Merrill Davids Landau's article on remote healing, and it's on my website. But yeah, because there's the restrictions in time and space that we've been taught, and we believe, and we've seen evidence of, okay, are not that limiting.
So if you do it on me, and also would that also mean that you do it on people that are watching this? Okay,
to explain that, we're in a seminar, okay, Matrix seminar, or practitioner training, whatever it is, okay, and Richard's working with someone on the stage, or a group. He says, okay, you guys can tune into this too if you want, because what we learn is to hold space. What does that mean exactly? Well, get yourself into the emotional state or the mental state. Study Neville Goddard's work. He talks about states, imagination. Anyway, the point being, you get in a status. So yes, I can work with you, and there can be people who view and hear this in the future, and they'll go, wow, I felt that too. And you never hear about it, and I never hear about it, and that's okay. Okay, because it is, and energy, is. So does that kind of?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, let's give it a go. I'm more than happy to.
I'll ask you, do you have a specific anything hurt, any kind of problem that you've experienced, and focus on something specific?
Let's do stress, because stress is something that physically it sometimes manifests in me, because when I'm stressed, I kind of notice things that happen in my body. So I think stress is right now something that
Okay, while you're talking there, I'm noticing some stuff up here in your forehead. There's some stuff over in your back. Okay, how are you doing this, George? Don't worry about how. As Mike Dooley says, the how is the domain of the universe, but you practice, 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 study, practice, pray, practice, study, practice, pray, practice, and practice makes permanent. So anyway, so I'll work with you. You mind if I call you Matt?
Yes, go ahead. No, it's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
So Matt, allow yourself a breath. And we're going to walk you through this, and anybody at home can walk with the same thing. Over to your right in front of you, there's a shelf. It holds 200,000 tons. You can't break it. The other great thing about a shelf is if you put something there, it's not going to go away. And if you decide, oh, I need that, you just reach out and take it. So it's nice and handy. So go ahead and put on that imaginary shelf your need to know exactly what it is I'm doing. Put that on the shelf. Your need to know how it works. Put that on the shelf. Your need to take some of this away because you want to apply some of this later in your own work. Just go ahead and put that on the shelf so you can get it later. And the last one, it's a little heavy, but you can do it because you're strong. It's not being right, but it's your need to be right on the shelf. Just put it there for a minute.
Are you just picking up on my personal, or you're okay? Never mind. I'll put it there.
All right. Now allow yourself another breath. Now, there's nothing you're supposed to do, and you can't get this wrong, but your mission now is to let whatever happens be okay. Even if this happens, cleanse, heal, change. That's it. That's it. Keep going. That's exactly right. You're doing exactly right. Yes. Clear. Clear. Easy. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Don't worry about that. And allow yourself a breath. Did you happen to notice anything? And if you didn't, that's okay.
I noticed that the moments when I was really like open to it and all that, was you were saying yes, yes, and then the moment I was starting to think about, oh, my name's I don't even know what, and you were like, don't worry about that. So it was fun. It was very kind of uncanny. Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I say, everybody's different. You never know what you're going to do until you do it. They used to do, again, focused on matrix energetics. You used to do a Friday afternoon demonstration for everybody, free to the public. And then the seminars would be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And we went up to Dallas, and my sister and mom were there. And I think my other sister was there. So we're watching a demonstration, and Melissa's up on stage. And a lot of times the practitioner will put their hand on the person's shoulder, okay, to support them, let them know that I'm here for you, as well as knowing where their body is. And I tell people, because I may need to close my eyes to tune in, and I usually do. But if my hand's on their shoulder, I know if they start to fall, I'll know. Okay, so they're up there, and to demonstrate this, I'll back up a little bit. So Melissa's standing there with her hand on the guy's shoulder, and they're doing this. Both of them are swaying back and forth. And she says, okay, you notice anything? No, don't notice anything. Okay, just think, is there anything maybe out of the ordinary? Maybe anything at all? Says, no, nothing. And the audience is cracking up. We're laughing. We're just laughing, because the guy says, no, there's nothing going on. And I mean, it's like, whoa. So anyway, and I've had people that, they instantly pass out, and we catch them. And I've had people who do various and sundry things. One of the things I'll invite people to watch, you can Google Michael Stellitano, Your Healing Hands. There's a video, used to be, I don't know the name of it anymore. But anyway, he gives an example because they had a camera on a client of his who was in a remote location, and a camera on him. And this guy's leg starts just going for it. Why is his leg going for it? It's not, no, there's no physical manipulation going on. It's energy. Okay. I work with energy and vibration and love. And like I told before, but some people don't, well, I don't really notice anything. I had a guy, this is years ago, came and said, well, I know you can't do anything about my shoulder because the doctors have already told me all that stuff, but so we'll work on my things. So it's like 2 weeks later, it says, George, you're not going to believe this. Of course, it always starts with, you're not going to believe this.
Yes.
Like my shoulder's like all better and so forth. And then I tried this tapping stuff and da-da-da-da-da. And then bless his heart, he's in the Army, I think. And he let me know maybe 6 months later or something. He says, I've been practicing that EFT stuff you taught me. And he had an assignment. He was supposed to get up early in the morning, go out there in the mud and so forth and do a bunch of stuff that he really, really was not looking forward to doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I went into the latrine, got into a private street, and I started tapping on. And so he wakes up the next morning going, oh, man. And he starts getting dressed. And the guy there in the bunker gets, what were you doing? I said, oh, I got that thing. Oh, no, you didn't hear? That's been called off. So it's useful stuff. There's a DVD out years ago. It's called Try It On Everything or Try It On Anything. And it's the original EFT from Gary Craig, who gave it to us. It's free. You can download the book. It's like a book like this, which I don't recommend using. I recommend the faster version because it works. When you can, when we can do things quicker, sometimes it's more effective and we can like it. It's just like the idea, the concept of healing, the analog versus the digital. We can heal over time because we've been told it takes time. Everybody knows this, right? Allopathic medicine, nothing against it. It takes time to heal. Or really? Yeah, because what things are possible with God? All things. Really?
Yeah.
Now, not everybody believes that. I was told that as a little kid, when that was told, 5 years old. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. All things are possible. I probably even read that stuff about you guys can do it too. John 10:10, Matthew 6:33. Keep throwing them out.
Right. It's like instantaneous though. What Jesus did. It's like right there.
Yeah.
You're healing the sick, healing the dead. Like there was a guy in a tomb or something already, and and he healed him. So it's by the way, I was gonna ask some before. I kind of asked during the session. Maybe I wasn't supposed to, but you said, is that common? Like people lay their stuff on it. So you were sensing like the need to be right is something that needs to go on the shelf.
In most cases, most people cling on to that. I need to be right because I believe this so long and I've done so much of my physical activity. My behavior has been so entrenched with this idea. The idea that I might be wrong is like, you're attacking me personally. So no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just going to try to get your ego just a little bit out of the way and let divinity step in and bring you the stuff that you want, but you didn't believe was possible for you because we're not worthy. What are we training from little kids? You go take a spelling test. I don't know if they teach spelling anymore in school, but when I was a kid, they had spelling tests and you get 18 out of 20. Pretty good odds. Where's the focus? It's on the 2 you got wrong. There's this big red X about the place you got wrong. And that's your focus. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. And we're little kids. They're bigger than us. They must be right. Mm-hmm. And we believe that stuff. And then you carry it around for 60, 80 years. And you see these people walking around. These old people are going, it's from that invisible backpack that they gave us in kindergarten and said, all the authority figures come in that, open up the backpack, bring in the shame and the blame. Okay, you got the guilt. All right, get that should have in here, supposed to, and you get all that, load that up. And when you carry that stuff around, no.
So,
thank you for hear that.
Yeah. This is kind of long form podcast. So we hear stories. It's not an indulgence, it's a curiosity, see people want to know your experience and your background and what you're doing because and what's the reason you're doing it and how you came to find it, so
freaking rewarding, Matt. It is so rewarding. You have somebody, you work with them and they can barely walk, and then you hear, hey, I go up and down stairs now. Yeah, you can't put a monetary price tag on that. You got people who have whatever their situation is. They've always been this way. It's always been this way. Well, why are your eyes in front of your head? Why aren't they on the side? Like elephants, they could see all around, or in the back or something. Okay.
Right. Sorry about this. We're back. Small technical difficulties. So we talk about focused mind healing, and is that a hypnosis thing?
No. And I could recommend this for anybody who wants to study the mind. The book is called Monsters and Magical Sticks. Monsters and Magical Sticks. The subtitle, There Is No Such Thing as Hypnosis. So get that book. Anyway, so no, focused mind healing is not hypnosis. Focused mind healing is the terms that Harold McCoy used for his protocols where making changes. And this was, to the best of my knowledge, at least 90% for physical ailments, healing and so forth. And that's Ozark Research Institute, Fayetteville, Arkansas. They got a presence on the website and so forth. They have a prayer group that at least used to meet every Tuesday night. So you can send in your request for healing and so forth. But in it, the protocol is, you can call it using your imagination, which again, Neville Goddard says is power. You know, you probably heard about Jesus. Said, they asked him, how do we pray? When you pray, believe that you receive it and you shall have it. Wayne Dyer said, see yourself surrounded by the conditions you want to produce. Other teachers have said the same thing. Think from the in. What focused mind healing does is takes whatever ailment or thing we're trying to address and then uses imaginary or other dimensional, tools and processes to heal. One of the things he does is, well, I just explained it there, is works with people. The first thing, he always starts with the brain or the mind. And the way he does this, that he imagines, this is far out stuff, that there's a zipper and you just unzip the zipper. I always get some disinfectant spray and spray around the area first. This is all imaginary stuff or other dimensional stuff. And then just open up the head and then pour in some mind brain cleaner restorer fluid. Really? Yeah. And it works something like hydrogen peroxide on a wound and it bubbles up. And then you get the gunk out of there. And there's more to it than this. Don't try it at home without a thorough understanding. And then clean that up and then close it back up, zip it back up, get some people tape. The angels give you people tape. It's green and about this wide. And you put that over there for the healing. You can also use healing balm with a person's name. For example, if it was Matt's, you had an ailment, it says, let me give me a jar of Matt's healing balm. And it's for you specific. The angels prepare it specifically for you.
Oh, wow.
Your metabolism, your here, and get some of that and put that on there. So it's to the individual, whatever the individual. And the thing of it is, with practice, one is guided, just as you can have in a guided meditation, you can, imagine flowers or a garden or trees or a path or whatever else, which is not unlike hypnosis. But again, it's the same thing. We think in images. Our subconscious, our mind thinks in images. When we have dream, we have images. My primary counselor of otherworldly things used to say, they show me this image, show me this picture of whatever it is. And then we act on that. So that's just a smattering of it. Again, I referred people to ORI.org, I guess it is. Anyway, Ozark Research Institute, Fayetteville. And that's I've seen a lot of really good, well, especially jumping back real briefly to this idea of a virus. People ask Harold, what do you do with a virus? How do you kill a virus? He said, well, at this stage, and this guy's progressed. I don't know where he was on 600 on the map of conscience. He was up there. I don't kill anything anymore. I sterilize them. I don't kill anything. But there's a protocol, for removing the viruses. And he taught me that, and I've used that, and it works. Short version. But yeah, focus mind healing is definitely something to put on your tool belt if you want to become. Speaking of which, my great friend and mentor Ray Hodges, we were talking about the book by Louise Hay. Some people have heard of Louise Hay.
Yeah, very famous.
Probably biggest work is You Can Heal Your Life. And he said, I know of no reputable healer that doesn't use that book and hasn't used that book as a reference, because she talks about the new mind pattern, new thought pattern, right? That whatever ailment or problems that we might be having were a consequence of a less than useful way of thinking.
Yes.
And a new thought pattern. And what I found, it works, is you use this faster EFT protocol and tap in these new affirmations and peace, and you're around to that. Okay. And it works. How exactly? Well, you're using the body's energy meridians and the subconscious mind, all that kind. I mean, that's interesting. Again, you want to learn the science stuff, read Joe Dispenza's books. It's full of sciencey stuff. Okay. I just do what works.
Right.
I said, seeing auras, for example. My wife saw auras since she was 8 years old. I never did in my life except for 3 times. There were 3 times. The first was at a matrix energetic seminar. She stayed in the hotel and I went to the seminars. I came back one afternoon and said, Missy, I can confirm your aura is turquoise because I can see it about 1/4 of an inch. I saw it. I perceived it. Ooh, let's go out. Let's go to the restaurant. So we're going to the restaurant. Ooh, is that one red? Good. Is that guy's green? Yeah. I'm sorry. It lasted about 5 minutes. And it says, okay. Oh, because I was all like turned on. Oh, I can see auras.
But that's something that can be learned too, or is that a special skill?
Yes,
some people are born
absolutely.
with it though.
Well, she, like I say, got it at 8 years old from psychological trauma. Okay. Things that were bad. Okay. And yet helped, or was instrumental, at least, in her developing this thing that she used and helped a lot of people later in life. So,
by the way, the fast CFT, are you able to do that to strengthen the immune system? Because maybe a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you want to do that now?
Well, sure. Let's do a round of tapping. Let's take 2 minutes, okay? And just do some general stuff. The tapping points are the inside edge of the eyebrows, outside edge of the eye, underneath the eye, and we're going to bypass a couple and go straight to under the collarbone. And we're going to have a 5-point steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the 5th one is take a big breath, squeeze the wrist twice, blow it out and say peace. Because energy meridians go up one side, down the air for liver, colon, spleen. This is bladder, gallbladder, stomach, cardiosacral, kidneys, which is less important than the fact that it works. So let's do this for you and everybody else. Okay. Tap like I tap and say what I say. First, a nice big breath. And tap like I tap and say what I say. I release and let go.
I release and let go.
Of what no longer serves me.
Of what no longer serves me.
It may have served me before.
It may have served me before.
May have worked for decades.
May have worked for decades.
But if it no longer serves me.
But if it no longer serves me.
I just let it go.
I just let it go.
I release and let go.
I release and let go.
Of what no longer serves me.
Of what no longer serves me.
I don't even need to know what it is.
I don't even need to know what it is.
I just let it go.
I just let it go.
I release it all and I let it go.
I release it all and let it go.
It's safe to 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 let it go.
Take a big breath, squeeze the wrist twice, and say peace.
Peace.
Oh, and that was very cool because different stuff happened energetically. I don't know if you heard my phone ringing in the background. We tapped into some stuff then. That's really cool. Okay. So
there we go.
Now tap like I tap and say what I say. I now allow my immune system
to
do its job better than ever before. I don't need to attack my own body. But anything that invades me will be eliminated. Maybe it'll be dissolved.
Maybe
it'll just transmute. But it will leave me. And I officially let go.
Of any
dis-ease.
of any disease,
any problems,
any problems,
any worries or concerns.
any worries or concerns.
I just let them go.
I just let them go.
And I allow my immune system
And I allow my immune system
to become stronger and stronger.
to become stronger and stronger.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is.
Take a big breath, squeeze twice, and say peace.
Peace.
Okay. And I'll refer folks to one of my YouTube videos. It's on your immune system, because our words are powerful. Again, you go back to the Christian religion, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh, and so forth. And our words are powerful. So if we say, my immune system is strong, I have a great immune system, I love my immune system, it's great, germs don't stand a chance with me, peace. Our words are powerful. And like I say, I made a little video on that. So that's free to anybody. All my video stuff is free, except the stuff that I sell.
Of course.
Okay.
Do you have your author of books?
Yeah, my book is called Out of the Blue: Miracles for Beginners. It's available on Amazon.com for like $3 or $4. I've got a DVD that teaches folks faster EFT, just the basics, and it's $40, but you can see about that on my website. And the website is iwantjoy.com. The YouTube channel is GeorgeBThomasJr.com. There's other George Thomases. There's George B. Thomases. There's a bunch of imposters. Anyway, other people with similar names. Mine is George B. Thomas Jr. And there's a bunch of free stuff. Especially, I'll tell you, if people have health concerns, watch a little 5-minute Healing with Colors video. There's a guided meditation for 20 minutes, one in English, one in Spanish. The English one is guided meditation, strangely enough. The Spanish one is meditación guiada. So those are available. And send me a note, send me an email, etc., etc. I work by appointment, happy to work with anybody. Yes, I charge money, and I've never turned anybody away for lack of money. So that's what's going on.
Nice, nice, amazing. Is there any parting words you have for the people that are listening to this?
Yes. If there's one thing that they can get out of this that's important for them to know, is that you there, behind your eyes, you watching this, yes, you specifically, you personally, behind your eyes, you there, you are loved and appreciated, and by way more than just me, way more. And that's the fact.
There it is.
I'm not making it up.
Yeah, George B. Thomas, everybody. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Matt. It's been fun. It's been a hoot. Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
And thank you, everybody, for listening or watching the podcast.